Mortal Shell 2 is set to release, literally right around the corner. And this Souls-like that people are excited for, is it really accessible? I know, it's a Souls-like, and usually the two don't go together. But let's truly evaluate it and see if it actually is approachable or accessible, or maybe even both. Let's check it out. I'm Steve Saylor, I'm blind, and if you're wondering how I can be able to play video games if I'm blind, or if you take a look at the or if you if you want to see what it is I could see when I'm playing video games if I'm blind, take a look at the video here or click the link in the description down below. Also, while you're here, I'm basically producing a bunch of reviews on a regular basis, so make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date to when all the reviews happen. I'm basically streaming these on Twitch as well as my gameplay, but you can also check out the VOD of my gameplay on my Steve Saylor Plays channel. You can get a link to that in the description down below. So let's talk Mortal Shell 2. I think probably the best way to be able to at least talk about this is this was a game that kind of popped up on my radar because a lot of my friends were interested in it. I knew it was a Souls-like, and I knew that it obviously this is has the pedigree of a good Souls-like, and I wanted to check it out to see if maybe Souls-likes have kind of improved a bit. They may not necessarily be exact like the From Software, but maybe there are some new ideas that other studios could be able to add to the genre that could potentially make it more approachable or accessible. I'm not talking easy, so keyboard warriors, you know, stay away from the comments. I'm saying I want to see if they could be able to keep the challenge of a Souls-like game intact while still making it approachable to newer players and also accessible for disabled players, which can be one and the same, but they can also be separate. So I think it's probably best to be able to summarize Mortal Shell 2 in my experience. I like what's there. I think that there is something interesting with the story, and there also is something that there is one particular game design feature that I really do like that I want to be able to go in detail. I think that other Souls-like could basically at least the concept of it be able to mimic, but I will say that there is something there that intrigues me about what this world is that you're trying to be able to you're inhabiting, and you are essentially this spawn of this god that or goddess I should say that you are able to sort of take over people's shells. Essentially, like you're able to inhabit other people's bodies, and they all have different abilities depending on which shell you are utilizing. And I start off with the first one, which is your sort of knight type character. I think it's called Mortis, or Mortis, whichever one it is, or Morris. I would say Morris. Yeah, let's call him Morris. And he's your kind of basic knight. He has a special ability that he can be able to use where he can turn people to stone, and can be able to give you, if you can basically hit them and be able to do a special finisher move once because they're basically frozen, and you can be able to keep hitting them until they die, which is really cool. And then but then there's also like you can be able to inhabit other shells as you continue to keep playing. At least and I would assume they have different abilities. I didn't get super far into that in order to be able to know for certain. But what I do also like, and I'll show that in the gameplay, is that it does something different where if your shell essentially runs out of health, you yourself, like basically you're the spawn of this goddess, I don't know what it's called per se, you essentially kind of like leave that shell and you essentially have a second chance. You can, if you die once, that's not the end. You can essentially basically kind of come back up. It's almost like a one-up mushroom from like Super Mario. It kind of you can still continue forward, and you can be able to bring that shell back if you do more melee damage on enemies. It takes a little bit because there is a percentage amount of damage you have to keep hitting to do melee in order to be able to bring that shell back. But essentially, it does give you a second chance if you were like super duper close on killing an enemy or even a boss, which is kind of neat. I think that is a really great mechanic that really, in a way, adds a little bit more approachability to this game and to this genre. If other Souls-like games adopted this, it could actually be pretty cool. I think that is an interesting sort of concept that that essentially it kind of gives you a little bit more freedom, a little bit more buffer to basically like to be a little bit more aggressive if you need to, or also to be able to, as you're learning the game, and if you make a mistake, it's technically not really the end of your playthrough. It still has all the same things of a Souls-like. It has, you know, your place where you commune, and that's where you respawn. All the enemies respawn back after you, which is, you know, as it often does with Souls-likes, and the bosses are also just as intense sometimes. And if you lose a boss fight, you get brought back to your beacon, which is what they call your commune spot, and you have to kind of do it all over again. But the good thing is, if you beat the boss, you don't have to beat it again. So that does help. And I know that, like, it has all the trappings of a Souls-like as you would, and I think that that's fine. I would have liked some more specific accessibility in order to be able to make this game more comfortable. And the best way to be able to show that is honestly with the gameplay that from what I recorded, which you'll be able to check out the full gameplay once again on my Steve Saylor Plays channel. So make sure to go there. I'll have a link to the gameplay in the description down below. But also make sure to subscribe to this channel as well. So this is kind of like the biggest culprit of the game itself that I think makes it inaccessible, and that is the text size. You can kind of see here, like, this text size is really super duper small. Like, we're talking like I had to have my face so close to the screen like this just so I can be able to even try to read it. And even then, I still couldn't read it properly. And that is something that I think could really been improved on. A lot of the contrast for the text is a little, is very small, like small text in order to be able to, you can't really read. Even the contrast for some of the icons in the game actually kind of, in a way, blend in with the environment a lot more, and it makes it difficult to see. The only way I knew there was items to be able to pick up was there was a little bit of box on the bottom that said, oh yeah, you can be able to pick it up, but the text size was just so small that it just was completely, like, I completely missed it with my own disability. And there's not really much, like, in way to be able to increase the font size, except for subtitles. And that's something I want to get into as well, that I want to show you with this. So if I let this play, so the video player can be able to pick stop. There we go. So you'll see in a second that the subtitles in cinematics, they do actually like make oh wait, actually I completely bypassed the whole dang thing. You can be able to make the subtitles really extremely large. You can see here that it is a serif font, which is not super great for dyslexia and also for cognitive disabled players. So that's not the best, but it is all caps as well, and it is super duper large. That's great. That's awesome. However, when you go into the in-game cinematic, not just a regular cinematic, I'll try to be able to like load it, have it load up here. The subtitles actually don't keep the same subtitle size that you normally would have. So if I wait for it to be able to like come up, you can see here. Yeah, you can see, okay, still has the same serif font, still has the same all caps, but there's no backing, there's no background to it, and the subtitles are even smaller. Now, when you're talking to other people, like just other NPCs in the game, let's see if we can be able to find one here to be able to talk to. There's also, let's see if we can find them. Here we go. Let's see if we can be able to bring up. But basically, it also has a different. It has a different sort of subtitle, like a different sort of subtitle style. That essentially, like, you can't really. That it basically has a background. It has a serif font. It doesn't have like an all caps or like an all caps font, but it does have like a like it still is. Sorry, I'm basically tripping over my own words, but I think you can. I'm trying to be able to get to. Here we go. There's the so that's 3 different subtitles that are in the game, and you can't control the styling. You can only control the styling of one of them. And I kind of find that, like, or maybe even that when you talk to NPCs subtitles, maybe that is the extra large setting, because that's what I set it as, extra large. So it's not great for deaf and hard of hearing players because you got 3 different styles of subtitles that are not great. They do have where it has an audio visualization for attacks that are happening off screen, which is something that Souls-like games don't normally have. which I find that actually does help out quite a bit. There is a setting to be able to turn that on. You can be able to adjust the camera as well to be more immersive or action, so it kind of pulls the camera out or pulls it more closer. I tried both. I found the camera got in the way a lot, especially in like kind of like tight areas. It kept basically kind of zooming in and out or moving in and out of, so that makes it difficult to be able to see. You can lock onto enemies, and that the camera does follow that. But again, if you're in a tight spot or a tight space, the camera does get confused quite often. But let's actually get into a little bit more of the fighting as we go. And you can see that basically that red sort of like haze that's on the that was on the side. That is essentially the visualization for deaf and hard of hearing players. And that's really beyond it, other than, like I said, the game design feature of the ability to be able to like bounce back if you are if your shell is mortally wounded, which I think is actually kind of like a really cool and approachable and also accessible design feature for Soulslike. So it's not to say that there isn't anything new or anything that they're trying to be able to do in this game. I just wish there was a little bit more customization, and that's not necessarily like the things I'm suggesting don't necessarily affect gameplay. There are other things too I would love, like a screen reader for all text. That'd be amazing. A little bit more of a better camera, or maybe like a field of view setting to be able to adjust for that. A better contrast for a lot of the in-game icons. That to me does not take away from the Souls-like experience. That to me is just quality of life that is not only accessible, but can also make the game more infinitely more playable and approachable to new players to the genre. I get that maybe they're trying to be able to go for the Souls crowd, which is fine, but in today's day and age, you need to be able to expand beyond your sort of normal sort of audience, and making a game a little bit more approachable might be the better way to go. And it's, again, I'm not saying that this needs to be easy. I'm like, yes, difficulty modes are a part of accessibility. All I'm saying is there are definitely things you can add that are quality of life that I think benefits everybody, and accessibility is for everyone, and that is accessibility. But beyond that, there are other things I think could really benefit in the Souls-like genre, like a screen reader, maybe even an audio navigation assist, so you don't get lost and you can still be like. And I think with a little bit of tweaking here and there, this game could be more accessible. Now, granted, I am playing the demo. This is the demo. I don't know what the full version of the game is like. I don't have a copy for review. So I'm basically basing this on the open beta demo that they currently have as of Monday, August 17th. Or like that whatever version of that is what I was playing today. And I think that the game could have more options, and hopefully it does. But from a first impression standpoint, for accessibility, I'm gonna have to give this a 2 out of 5. There are some interesting ideas here, and there are some interesting things there that, like, I wish there was more options to be able to customize your experience a bit more. But I don't necessarily think that like there are the things I'm suggesting would take away from the Souls-like experience. I think the rest could basically more enhance it, so that we as disabled players can still enjoy the challenge of a Souls-like, but just with some quality of life improvements that doesn't make it easier. It just makes it more comfortable and playable for us as disabled players. Anyway, I would love to be able to hear what you think. Have you played this? Are you a disabled player and you are checking this out? Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below on YouTube. And if you want to be able to check these out when I'm actually playing these games live, make sure to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve Saylor. I try to be able to basically do more reviews every single week, and I basically play the game on stream, and then I record the review pretty much on stream as well. So if you want to hear my thoughts early, you'll check that out as well. Can't do that for every review, especially if I have embargoed reviews, but I'm trying my best to be able to do more, trying out different games as I on stream as well. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you like this video. Give it a like if you do like it, and also subscribe to be able to see more of these videos. Take care, have a good one, and as always, I remain obediently yours. Bye-bye.